I was fortunate enough to receive one of the brand new Henry lever action Supreme rifles, AKA the Laser in 300 Blackout. Today I'm gonna be running this thing on the range in a T-Rex Arms 50 round carbine course of fire. And if you don't know this about us, about 2 years ago, I ran the same drill with my Henry 4570X model lever action rifle to try to find out how does a tactical lever action rifle stack up against an AR-15. Today, I am taking this 300 Blackout with all of the new features that are in the Henry Supreme rifles, and I'm gonna ask the same question. Is there a place for a tactical lever action rifle like this? Okay, that was a .96, high ready into the head box. So now what we're gonna do on this particular drill, we are at 10 yards, standing in front of the center target. I'm gonna engage 1 round center, 2 rounds to the left, 3 rounds to the right, and 4 back in the center. So basically a 1, 2, 3, 4 drill, again at 10 yards. Okay, so here's what we did. I don't know if it's because the gun was dry, it's cold, it's freezing cold out today, but I also switched ammo and I lubricated the gun. So I'm shooting a Hornady ballistic tip bullet now. I'm gonna see if that feeds a little bit better. This gun was completely dry and that would be my fault. So if it's a feeding issue because of that, then I overlooked something. We're gonna give this whole thing a shot and do a do-over with this Hornady ammunition, starting with those first drills and continuing onward. So let's get into it. The .62, so .62. Still high ready? .87, so .62, .87, 5 yards. Let's go do that 1, 2, 3, 4 drill at 10. Okay, so the 1, 2, 3, 4 drill was a 7.18. Looking at these splits, see if I can get them. No, well, I screwed it up. I reset the timer. So I don't know what my splits were, but that's okay. That was a 7.18. So now we're gonna do the 180-degree turn, reload, 5 rounds. Okay, so that was a 14.55. Now we're gonna start at 10 yards and put 2 rounds into the left head box, run back to 25, put 2 rounds into the right head box. Okay, I feel like I pulled that round on the right head box. It's a 9.23. Okay, so the next drill here, we're gonna be back here at 25 yards. We're gonna put 2 rounds onto the left target, 2 rounds in the middle, 2 rounds on the right, and then I'm gonna run to the rightmost stick on the ground at 25, and then do another 2, 2, 2 on the targets. So let's get down range and do that. .74. Now this is the fun one. So what we're gonna do is from 25 yards, we're gonna be moving from 25 to 5 yards, and I have to put 4 rounds on each target while moving between the 25 and 5 yard line. These are the kind of drills that I love, and this is gonna be a fun one. Let's go do it. a 9.12. So I'm gonna go down range and total up all these scores. We'll talk about it then, but I know what everybody really wants to see is subsonic suppressed with this 300 Blackout. When I ran this drill a couple years ago with the X model 4570, my time was 136.25 seconds, and the hit factor was a staggeringly low 1.28. So comparatively, the AR-15 that I ran in a similar video, I think it was my 10.3, was a time of 38.98, and then my hit factor was 4.64. As I calculated the scores here of this run with the Henry 300 Blackout, my total time was 57.31 seconds, and the hit factor was 3.72. So now compare that to the AR-15. I had a 38.98 total time. This, I have a 57.31. Hit factor of that AR-15 again was 4.64, and with the Henry 300, it had a hit factor of 3.72. So basically it did exactly what I thought. And when I'm thinking back to the performance of this gun, it is really no surprise to me that I was able to get a better score with this 300 Blackout versus the X model 4570. Almost all of that excessive time with the 4570 was because of the reload. I had to feed individually every single round into that magazine tube, and that is just slow as heck. Now at the beginning of this range day, we saw this thing had a ton of malfunctions, but after I oiled up the action, it ran perfect. So I believe that that was my fault. That's not shame on the gun, it's shame on me, honestly, because of how cold it is today, and because it was very dry from shooting a couple hundred rounds over the last 2 or 3 range days. I think it was just gummed up and it was cold and just seizing up that bolt. So we did run supersonic ammunition after the fact as well, and it ran perfectly fine. So I did do a retake to get this score. I wish that I could have just run it through cold, but that's just not how it happened. So when we're comparing all of the performance of this gun with an AR-15, should we expect it to be the same performance? And the answer is simply no. Obviously, a manually operated rifle is never going to be as fast as an AR-15, but what Henry did with this rifle gets you pretty darn close. And I was super intrigued to see that, and I was super excited to run this gun because of that. I've always loved tactical lever action rifles, and although this is a wood stock and everything, and it's not really a tactical lever gun, it still, in my opinion, lives in that realm of lever action rifles. So then the question that I have is this rifle a viable option? When you're looking at potentially getting a 300 Blackout AR-15 or similar platform, or you're considering a Henry like this, is it really something worth considering? And I wrote down a couple notes that I wanted to go over to hopefully digest that concept and give you guys a little bit of feedback and an answer. Ultimately, this lever action rifle does afford you more capability than other lever action rifles of the past. And this is because it's magazine fed. And on top of that, this is a standard, very short action caliber. 300 Blackout is a very capable round. You can shoot supersonic or subsonic. And with the shorter 16.5-inch barrel of this 300 Blackout, you're gaining a very capable, or I guess I should say, that barrel creates a very capable, very fast shooting gun. The reload speed is going to be a lot faster than lever action rifles of the past. On top of that, because it is much lighter recoil than a standard 1800s Western style pistol caliber, the 300 Blackout's just giving you a very soft recoiling gun, even with supersonic ammunition like the 130 grain spear ammo that I was running as well on this range day. So those things are very strong pros of this particular rifle. The other thing is, some people in less friendly states may be able to own this rifle, and they may not be able to own an AR-15 or a similar auto-loading rifle. I know that it's just crazy. It's a statist, communist mindset in those states, and I don't believe in bending the knee to people like that. However, there are people that are going to need the capability of defending their life, their property, and their family, and they might not be able to just go to a gun store and purchase an AR-15 off the shelf. However, they may be able to buy this rifle, and obviously that's going to vary. There's some states that just because it has a threaded barrel, they're going to say, oh no, you can't have it. Speed is about the same as most lever action rifles, but it's going to be faster than a bolt action rifle, and it's still slower than an AR-15 or similar platform. So because of all of those things, there's a lot of pros going for this gun. There's also some negatives of this gun as well, but I'll talk about that in a second. So I think that even though Henry geared this rifle towards more of the homesteading kind of person, the hunter, the outdoorsman, and it really is, at the end of the day, a hunting rifle that has the capability to defend your life. It's not necessarily a fighting rifle in the sense of a traditional fighting rifle. However, I do believe that as companies come out and add supplemental gear for this thing, rails, different stocks, accessories, you will find that this does bleed that realm of hunting and fighting rifle much better than older lever action rifles like the 4570. On top of that, it's going to be more appealing to people because it's not abusive to shoot. When I shoot my 4570 for an entire range day, it is horrifically abusive. And I'm not going to lie, I have black and blue marks on my shoulder after shooting 200 or 300 rounds of 4570. So what are the drawbacks of this rifle? So I wrote down a couple things here. It is still a manually operated rifle at the end of the day, so it's going to be slower than semi-auto rifles like an AR-15. The action, while very smooth, does require a lot of force to overcome the magazine, and I noticed that especially as the gun got more and more dirty. So keep this gun lubricated. That is obviously a very important thing for this rifle. I don't know if it's just due to the action or the intricacies of the parts inside of it, but it's important that you run it very lubed, or else you're going to have problems potentially with it as you get a higher round count. These are currently not available with a full-length rail, so that was a note that I wrote down here. I am certain that that's going to change. There's companies out there that love making accessories for lever action rifles, and I'm certain that at some point you're going to see full-length rails for these things. You might find different stocks and accessories. So one of the other negatives that I had around that is I can't mount a weapon light to this thing in a traditional sense. So whenever we're building fighting rifles, I think of three things that I need: quality optic, a sling, and a weapon light. Because this is a hunting rifle, the sling is quite literally meant to just sling over your back. It's not like an AR-15 where you sling yourself through it and you can rest it in front of you, you can put it behind you, you can put it across you, whatever, and you can still shoot with the sling around you. Because of where the sling swivels are, the studs on the stock, it is literally meant to hike around, hunt, and carry it like a hunting rifle. So again, that's another negative. One of the other negatives, because it doesn't have a full-length rail, when you're shooting 300 Blackout suppressed for long strings of fire, the barrel gets very hot. So you're going to notice that if you try to do a C-clamp or a regular grip like you would with an AR-15 and you rest your thumb on top of the barrel, at some point you might get burned. That's just something to keep in mind. It's the same thing with bolt action rifles, it's the same thing with other lever action rifles. But I'm hoping that at some point somebody comes out with a full-length rail for this with a Picatinny on top from the receiver all the way forward, just like an AR-15, because then you're going to be able to run this thing fast and longer. And you'll be able to put weapon lights all over it. If you want to, you could put grips or different slings, quick disconnect receivers, and all of that good stuff. So because of all of that, there are some negatives right now of this rifle, and you have to decide for yourself whether or not you think the price tag for this is going to ultimately give you the capabilities that you're looking for. Again, if you're in a state where it's hard to get AR-15s, this is a solid rifle. So my opinion of this thing right now is really just, it is a very capable rifle. It's one that is very fast handling. I love the fact that it's 300 Blackout. I love shooting it suppressed. It has been amazing, and the only issues that I've had is when I was feeding it with Lancer mags, I had trouble with them. And then I also had issues, obviously, in this range day where we had some malfunctions. A note on those Lancer mags, as soon as I switched from the 5.56 Lancer mags to the 300 Blackouts, it ran perfectly fine. I have not had time to diagnose whether or not that truly is a mag issue or it's just a fluke or something else. So would I recommend this gun? Well, this video is not about recommending this gun. This video is hopefully doing something different than other people that are just going to review this gun and tell you to buy it. I honestly don't care if you buy it because nobody's paying us to do this video. We don't make money if you buy this rifle. I think it's epic. I think it's a really cool gun. I'm glad to have it in my arsenal. I'm glad Henry was able to send it out to us early so that we could get our hands on it and run it. And at this point, I have around 500 or 600 rounds through it. So I know that it's a solid gun. I'm excited to run it in other content. And you will see a full review over on my personal YouTube channel, Keystone Carry, in the very near future. So I guess that leaves us here. I want to ask you guys, would you consider the Henry 300 Blackout or even their 223 model? Do you think it's just a gimmick? Do you hate the word tactical lever action rifles? I know that that's sort of a triggering word for some people, but I would love to engage with you down in the comment section as well. And if you want to dive deep into this rifle, I do have a full blog. I will link that down in the description as well. And further, the last thing I want to say, if you want to support what we do here, the best way you can do that is to purchase some steel targets. Guys, steel targets are not just a gimmick. They're not just a plinking toy. They're not just range novelty. They actually train you to become a better defender. So So take that seriously, invest in quality steel, stop buying junk on Amazon that you don't know the origins of the steel. Invest in a company that cares about you, that wants to see you become that capable provider and protector. And further, no matter what you do, no matter what gun you have, no matter what gear you have, what caliber it is, or how old you are, or where you live, train as much as possible, because we need our community capable and we want to be a part of inspiring that inside of you. I appreciate you guys. See you next time.